Hi everyone, Robin, your chronic fatigue expert again for part 2 of Micheal Finkelstein's book on slow medicine. It's 77 questions that are found in there, and I thought it would be helpful to go through these and talk about each one as it relates to chronic fatigue syndrome. Some of them fit really well, some not so well, but we're going to discuss them all. And I hope that you'll find some value out of it. You can pick up the book and read it if you like. I'll talk more about probably the book in a future video, but for now, let's continue on with the questions. We left off finished up question 27, so question 28. Do you maintain a skillful diet, low in processed and refined foods and animal products, and high in fresh, seasonal fruits and vegetables? Now, from talking about a general perspective, most Americans don't do that, much less someone with chronic fatigue. Eat a diet rich in fruits and vegetables and low-fat meats and that type of healthy diet. Most people have a diet high in refined sugars and fats and that type of thing. So I would say more so the person with chronic fatigue would have a diet high in saturated fats and sugars because they are more likely, I would say, to eat convenience foods because it's easier. There's not a lot of prep work. You can pop it in the microwave and heat it up. It's done quickly. You don't have to put a lot of thought or effort into it. So I would say that they are more than likely not eating a lot of good, fresh, seasonal fruits and vegetables. They're more into the processed and refined foods. So that's one area that if you have chronic fatigue or any illness, you can improve your health greatly by just making small incremental changes to your diet. Question 29, is your water intake adequate? Now there's a lot of controversy over water intake. Does water intake mean tea, coffee, and the like? Does it mean just strictly water? Some people are pro water only. If you add anything to it, then that discounts the water intake. I'm of the camp, as long as you're taking in fluids that contain water, such as water with fruit juice, a little fruit juice added, or water with flavor enhancers, or I drink white tea, which is low caffeine or no caffeine tea. At least you're getting your water. I know there are purists that think that water is water only, but let's face it, some people just can't palate the taste of water plain. I can, but I drink plain water sometimes, and it's got to be to your temperature. Some people don't like cold water. I like room temperature water when I drink it. So just add a little bit of just plain water to your habit. You know, add it at meals. That would be one way to up your water intake. Question 30. Do you stretch regularly? Now, stretching is something that I think everybody should do, whether you have chronic disease or not, whether you have chronic fatigue syndrome or not. And it can be, I prefer a gentle stretch, nothing that is going to cause pain, cause too much wear and tear on your joints or any of your connective tissues. Just something gentle and relaxing. You can find videos on YouTube and other places with just gentle exercises. I like Tai Chi or Qigong. Both of those are gentle and they're slow motion. And sometimes they'll modify it for chair. So even if you're sitting down, you can at least exercise the top of your body and get some benefit from that. And they can be stretching exercises too to get the benefits. Question 31. Have you let go of fear in your life? Have you let go of fear in your life? I'm not saying that fear will go and never come back, but there's a lot of fears that you hold in your body, and they're held in different places in your body because you've lived with them a long time. And that is true of people with fatigue or without fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's good to get rid of all the fears that you can get rid of. It doesn't mean that new ones won't show up at times, but when you have that mastery over the old fears, it takes the power out of the old fears and makes any new fears easier to manage, and you don't have to ruminate over them and worry over them and plan and connive to how are you going to get through this. You'll just know. So I would encourage you to let go of your fear, and if you need help with that, please contact me. I'd be happy to help you let go of your fear. Number 32, do you have faith in a God, spirit guides, angels, or some other power beyond yourself? Now, I think you should have a faith in something beyond yourself. I personally believe in a God, and I think that it gives you a sense of hope. It gives you a sense of connectedness. Studies have shown that scientific studies, let me mention, have shown that people that have a sense of faith and pray and meditate have an overall better sense, positive sense about themselves. And they have hope, and they have a lot of different positive aspects that are not as strong in people that don't have faith. So I would encourage you to find your faith or reconnect with your faith. That's an important part of being a human. And I would say that if you have chronic fatigue, you've probably let that part go, because it's a lot of effort needs to go into getting up, getting dressed, going out of the house, going to a faith service, sitting there and answering all the questions that invariably come when you are the new person coming in to a faith-based organization. So let's move on to the next question. Do you actively commit time to your spiritual life? So that's connected to question 32. Question 33. Do you actively commit time to your spiritual life? I would say that people with chronic fatigue don't actively connect time with their spiritual life. As I've said before in the previous video, they have enough things on their plate that they're trying to get done, just get through their day, feel better, feel human, and get through their day and probably make a little money if they have a job, or manage the children, or get the house clean, or many other responsibility. And the one thing that's easy to let go is their spiritual life. So again, I'd encourage you to look at that and make changes in that. The changes that you make will show up in your life very exponentially, in greater amount than what you put in. Okay, the next question is a good one. Do you breathe abdominally for at least a few moments every day? Now, when we're in an anxious environment, or when we feel bad, or when we're not paying attention to our breath, we tend to breathe with our upper chest in a rapid moment. You can hear that. It feels and it sounds labored. That's breathing through your chest. You're not getting enough oxygen in your body when you do that. You're not getting enough to keep you healthy. So learn some belly breathing techniques. It's a lot gentler, and it will help oxygenate your blood. It'll make you feel better. It's something that you can do that doesn't require a lot of effort, and the effort you put in will make you feel better immediately, because your blood has more oxygen, which can carry nutrients and other things to the places it needs to go. Every cell in your body needs oxygen. So I'd encourage you to belly breathe. There's some videos on that. I may do some videos later on, but for now you can Google or search for it in YouTube, belly breathing or box breathing. There's pardon me, several videos, probably millions of different techniques on how to breathe correctly, and mindfulness while you're breathing and the benefits of that. That's studied by scientists as well, that mindfully breathing does bring about a lot of calmness and peace and lessen anxiety. So that's a good practice to pick up. Number 35 is connected to two more of the questions I asked already. Are you free from anger towards God? Are you free from your anger towards God? I think there's a lot of people that have anger, especially if you have chronic fatigue syndrome. You have anger that God created you this way. You have anger that you have to live this way and others don't. I think it might be to a benefit. I know it's not a might, it's a definite, that you'll be healthier when you let go of your anger. Anger doesn't hurt the person you're angry with. It's actually drinking a poison and hoping it kills someone else. Anger is a poison most times. And anger at God is definitely a poison, because it's killing you. So I think that if you resolve that anger, you'll feel a lot better about you and your situation. And if you need help resolving that anger, I think people do need help resolving that anger, especially if it's with God and sometimes with other people. I'd love to help with that. I'd be very honored to help with that, actually. Question 36. Is the home you live in harmonious? And harmonious could be to your level. Because, we all have different lives. We also have different members in our family. So sometimes it's not the harmony that other people would recognize. I can remember having children, young children in my home. They were mine, and they were wild and boisterous, but we still had harmony. Some people live in quiet homes, but there's nobody speaking to one another, but it's not harmonious. So harmony would be a sense of peace to me. Is your home harmonious? And that, if you have chronic fatigue syndrome, would be the optimal place to be is in a harmonious home. But if your home is not harmonious, I can see where that would be an issue and exacerbate some of the symptoms you're having, such as the anxiety or the depression part. Question 37, which may seem like an odd one, seeing that I'm an American, and that I'm probably talking to mostly some Americans, but people all over the world. But do you have an awareness of life energy or chi? All life has energy. We are energetic beings. We are all chemicals. We're a lot of chemicals. We're a lot of water. And we're all energy. All matter is energy, if you remember your science class. So do you have an awareness that you feel alive? That's your life energy. Are you acutely aware of it? Do you notice it from time to time? Are you thankful for it? Those are some questions you can explore. Whether you have chronic fatigue or not, is an awareness of your life energy. Question 38. Do you have more than enough energy to deal with your daily responsibilities? Let's face it, there's some days, even as a healthy person, you don't have enough energy to meet the demands that life puts on you. But if you have chronic fatigue syndrome, you never have enough energy to deal with your daily responsibilities. It's not going to happen. You have to pick and choose what you get done, how much you do of it, and some days you just have to scrap that list and come back the next day and try it again. It's always a battle of what's important versus what I can handle. I get it. I understand that's the case. With people with chronic fatigue and other chronic illnesses, cancer, other things. Question 39. Do you maintain peace of mind and tranquility? Do you maintain peace of mind and tranquility? I would say that people with chronic fatigue syndrome don't maintain any sense of tranquility at all. It's all a whirlwind in the head, and they have the brain fog. So there's no tranquility and brain fog when you can't think, or when you do think and it's circular thinking about what can I do to feel better, or what can I eliminate from my list today because I don't have enough energy, or try problem solving. You're always in problem solving mode rather than living mode. So I can't see that a person that is in problem solving mode would be in a place of peace or tranquility. Question 40. Can you reevaluate your financial needs so that you're not working so hard for things that aren't important? See, that's kind of a catch-22 with the person with chronic fatigue syndrome, because by the time you pay for health care, your medications, and things you may need to get you through the day, say energy drinks or weighted blankets, other things that you need, they may be over your financial needs, and you may have to work just to meet the needs that the level of care you need for your chronic fatigue necessitate to just get you through life. So it becomes like a hamster wheel of you working just to meet your needs, and you never can get off of that wheel going around and round. You work to meet your financial responsibility to take care of yourself, and then with one wrong move, that can crumble very easily. But there are others who do work and make good money, and they spend on things that are not needs, so we won't go in that direction. But just know that you can reevaluate your financial needs and not focus on things that are not so important, because some people do focus on, keeping up with fashion. That's one that we can talk about quite easily, keeping up with the latest clothing style. You got to have a new wardrobe every season because you want to look fashionable. Well, that's a lot on your brain too when you're dealing with chronic fatigue and then trying to look good. So just reevaluate if that's necessary, or if your time can be spent doing something that you enjoy more than worrying about are these boots fashionable. Question 41. Are creative activities a part of your work or leisure time? This goes back and ties into the one question I did on the first video about being creative. I think that everybody should have something creative to stimulate a different portion of their brain and create the happy hormones that you need, and do something creative every day. I would say that a person with chronic fatigue doesn't do a lot of creative activities. They're just looking to get home and vegetate in front of the TV and not put too much effort into doing anything that costs them more energy, because they've got to make dinner for themselves and they got to clean up and do all their activities of daily living, which are more important than doing something creative. So I would encourage you to do something creative to boost your mood and make you feel better. Question number 42. Are you okay with a few surprises on your path to health? I love this question. Are you okay with a few surprises on your path to health? There may be some surprises. You may be surprised, like I said, in the earlier video that if you just work on one little tiny thing and get that better, that it fixes something else. If you work on your eating habits, let's say, for example, you might sleep better. So there will be surprises, and I guarantee that with your healing journey on chronic fatigue syndrome, there will be some good surprises to you on your healing path. There's no magic pill. Anybody that tells you there's a magic pill and you take it and you'll get better quickly, they're lying. It takes hard work, it takes motivation. But surprisingly, sometimes when you fix one thing, you fix more than one thing. So I would encourage you to always look for small ways or big ways to improve your health. Number 43, I think this is a good one to talk about. Are you willing to take risks and make mistakes in order to succeed? Now that's a rubber meets the road question. Are you willing to make mistakes? We as humans don't want to make mistakes. A person with chronic fatigue syndrome doesn't want any mistakes. But there's been mistakes all along the road. If you've tried this and it didn't work, you tried that, it didn't work. So you get discouraged. And you get into the headspace that nothing else will work. All these things I've tried, they didn't work. But I'm going to tell you that Thomas Edison, he invented the light bulb. We all know that. But do you know how many times he failed? You don't hear that. You hear about the success, you never hear about the failure. I know he failed over a lot. I think it was 99 times or 90 some times. But he kept going. So I think that talks to the question of taking risk and making mistakes in order to succeed. You've already tasted some mistakes, but you know not to go down that road again. Try something new. What works for you may surprise you. The tiniest little thing could spark a snowball, and it fixes more than you thought, and then you fix another thing, and then you're well on your road to better health, and you thought it was just a tiny thing. So let's move on to question 44. Are you able to adjust beliefs and attitudes as a result of learning from painful experiences, and has your experience of pain enabled you to grow spiritually? Now, this is a huge question. This should have been like 3 questions. Can you take your experiences and learn from them? That's a powerful undertaking. When you take your past experience, you take the learnings from them, you know what you learned from them, and you move past the experience. And then to take that experience and grow inside yourself and to connect with yourself spiritually, or a higher power more spiritually, because your past experiences and the thoughts you have about them now. When you have chronic fatigue syndrome, that's a very good healing technique, because I could say that from experience, from my knowledge, that 100% of you, 100%, have to learn from the painful experiences of the past. And when you do learn, you start to heal. Without the learning, the healing will be a lot harder and a lot slower, if at all. But I'm telling you, you can learn, you can heal, you can get better. If other people can do it, you can do it too. It's like the 4-minute mile I talked about in an earlier video. If one person can do it, now many people do it. They thought that people couldn't do a 4-minute mile. Now athletes do it all the time. So if that's true in athletics, why can't it be true in health? Okay, let's move on to our next question. Are you able to let go of your attachment to specific outcomes and embrace uncertainty? Now that's another excellent question for the person with chronic fatigue syndrome. Because you already know, because you've been told by doctors, by rheumatologists, by other specialists, by family members, by other chronic fatigue sufferers, by everyone. You'll never get better. This is just the life you lead now. This is your new life. So you know that the outcome to that, and you have an attachment to that outcome, that you're going to get worse, that it's never going to get better. So part of your recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome to get better, to have the life you want, is to let go of that outcome and just let go of the wheel. Not be attached to that outcome, but know for certain the outcome you are going to get is better than your wildest dreams. You can't dream of being the person you used to be. That person's gone. But I'm telling you, you can be better because you're more resilient now. You can get better. You can get healthier. You can be a better version of yourself. That's guaranteed. If you believe and let go of the belief that it'll always be that way. Just be uncertain for a while. Don't look for any certain outcome. Don't look for, I'm going to be the old me. Just look at it like, I'm going to be a new me, a better me than I am today. Look for progress instead of perfection. And I promise you, you'll find it. And the progress will get bigger and bigger and bigger the more you look at it. Question 46. Do you engage in meditation, contemplation, or psychotherapy to better understand your feelings? I think every human should always engage in contemplation of your feelings. Know where they're coming from. Are they coming from you? Are they coming from someone else? Are they coming from the system? Are they real? Are they imaginary? And you have to learn that. You have to learn where that comes from. So I think that everyone, I've always been a proponent of everyone needs someone to talk to figure out their their thoughts, because sometimes our thoughts get confused and they're heavily influenced by a lot of things, one of them being media, one of them being social media. And we have to discover whether they're your thoughts, whether they're your parents' thoughts, whether they're just popular opinion, whether they're something that's been installed, and yes, I said installed in you. Where did they come from? I think that's something that every person needs, and that's something that I can help with. And those beliefs that come along with it, those negative beliefs. I'm going to do a video on the beliefs you hold. I know every one of them, whether you've spoken them aloud or not. I know a lot of beliefs that the person with chronic fatigue holds inside themselves, the secrets they hold. So that's why you have to understand your feelings, because you got to understand these things that you hold inside and that you don't talk to anyone about. And you feel that they wouldn't understand, they wouldn't even like you if you knew you thought these things. I understand, because I know these thoughts, and I've heard these thoughts. And I've had people resolve these thoughts and they no longer think them. They think something different. So if they can think something different and no longer think these thoughts and have a better life because they no longer think these thoughts, you can too. And that's a part of your healing as well. Knowing what thoughts are yours, knowing what thoughts are beliefs, knowing what thoughts are false beliefs, knowing what thoughts have been programmed, and knowing what thoughts are you, and knowing who you are and who you want to be. So number 47, question 47 is tied in with question 46. And it is, are you accepting of all your feelings? Do you accept them? Your anger, your sadness. But part of that is knowing if it's your feelings or if it's someone else. Let's tie that back into it. Because with chronic fatigue syndrome or any other human, you don't have to have chronic fatigue. Just be a regular human without chronic fatigue, or just have headaches or whatever. You have to be knowledgeable of whose feelings you're feeling. Are you feeling your own feelings? Someone else's feelings? The system's feelings? Are you feeling things that are just beliefs that you've tied a feeling to? That's a lot to unpack. If you need to unpack those, I'd be happy to help you unpack those and figure out whose feelings they are, how to deal with them. What do you want to do with them? That's your choice. Question 48. Are you aware of and able to safely express sadness, anger, and fear? And do you have the ability to cry? Male or female? Doesn't matter. This is a powerful thing. Are you aware of your sadness? Are you aware of your anger? Are you aware of your fears? And do you have the ability to cry? How long has it been since you cried? How long has it been since you felt anger, or do you stuff it down? Do you express the anger? Do you express the sadness? Do you express your fear? Can you safely do so? These are huge things that you can do for yourself that will impact your health. Not only your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health. Question 49. If you have experienced the loss of a loved one, have you fully grieved that loss? And grief is such a personal thing. And to have grief on top of chronic fatigue syndrome just gets magnified. And it seems like it takes forever. And grief is personal. And grief has stages. And it's something that takes time to get over or time to deal with. It said you never get over grief, you just learn to manage it differently, and I'd say that's a more accurate statement. Question 50. Do you take risks or exceed previous limits? Now, for a person with chronic fatigue syndrome, I don't think you take too many risks. You know that if you do, you'll have a flare. You'll be in the bed for a couple days. You won't be able to function. Just taking the risk of going to a function or a birthday party, or it can be go to church or get out of the house and go to the grocery store. If you exceed those limits, you know you'll pay for it, overpay for it in the next couple days or coming weeks or sometimes even months. So I would say that would be a no, that a no with a caveat that people do when they do exceed the risk, when they have chronic fatigue syndrome, there's a price to pay. Question 51. Do you have the ability to concentrate for extended periods of time? I'd say that's a definite no for chronic fatigue, because you have the brain fog, you have the tiredness, which, makes it harder to concentrate. And your concentration just goes downhill the more you don't sleep, and you get caught in that cycle of not sleeping and trying to sleep and getting frustrated. So you don't have the ability to concentrate. So the last question I'll do on this video, and then I'll make part 3. Is your sleep free from disturbing dreams, and do you explore the symbolism and emotional content of your dreams? Oh, that's a huge one too, huh? Most people with chronic fatigue don't sleep very well, and when they do sleep, sometimes they'll have disturbing dreams. Sometimes they don't remember the dreams, it's just a feeling. I have my own theory for that. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. Do you explore the symbolism and emotional content of your dreams? Your dreams are your repository of your day's events or your week's events or your life's events. So they have some meaning, whether people know that or not. The meaning may only be to you subconsciously. You don't have to know it consciously, but you're reenacting something on some level. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. It helps if you talk to another person, and maybe you don't need to know what it's about. Maybe just it's a release of some sort. But do you ever think about, oh, I was stressed, so I dreamed about running. Running. I ran all night. How could that parallel your life? Are you running to get an answer for why you have chronic fatigue? Are you running away from something? Are you running to something? So there are some avenues to explore when you have dreams, you know, the themes, not the dreams themselves. Maybe think about the themes. So I want to thank you for watching this video to the end. And there'll be a part 3 and there's a part 1. If you haven't seen those, you don't have to watch them in order. But I would encourage you to go through them and take your time and just think about the questions that are contained in this book. And I want to say that I appreciate your time and your attention, and I'll see you in the next video.